All right. Good evening, students. Good evening, all of you. I hope you are able to hear me. If I am audible, you can press yes. Good evening, Ashish. Good evening, Chinmay, Varsha, Pritesh, Rakshita. Good evening, Saksha, Ganesh. Yes, Atish. Oh, today is the IPL final, kya? Good evening, Kishore, Monisha, Ankit. Good evening, guys. Today is not the last class. Today is second last class. I think we'll finish it tomorrow. Pritesh will finish it tomorrow. Anyways, don't worry. As I said, your syllabus will finish soon. I think maths is already about to finish, right? Maths is already about to finish. That I saw, Arthur. I don't know. This is surprising, actually. Every year, bio used to finish first. I don't know why this year bio is lagging. Every year, bio finishes first. Every year. Chalo, anyways, it's good we'll get more time to revise. How you'll get more time to revise, man? So 2020 is different. 2020 is full of surprises. Correct. Good evening, Ankita. So we'll start then. I think most of you are in. I think you know about your holidays. It is 14th and 15th. Chaitra, Khushi, Naren, Ravi Kumar, Basavraj, Lasya, Pradeep, Sanjana, Advait. Good evening, Sanjana. Good evening, Chaitra. Got it. Yes, that's a point actually. You have only 4 classes of bio in the week. That's a point. Bio classes are only 4. But still, bio takes less time. That's why we were thinking if 4 classes are sufficient. All right. Monday, do we have holiday? No, I don't think so. Only 14th and 15th is the holiday for Diwali. Maybe, not sure. Athar. Chalo, let's start then. So yes, this is a one of the movie scene from Scam 1992. Not movie scene. It's a web series. Scam 1992. So it's from that. Chalo, then let's start the class. So what you are studying last class? Everybody remembers, right? What you are studying last class? Last class you were studying about? Yeah, Harshad Mehta, correct. Isoelectric point, correct? And I told you to go through the isoelectric point ka definition. We had solved the isoelectric point for glutamic acid, aspartic acid. Then I told you try these 4. Okay? Chalo. So let's do a recall test. I hope you remember the concept very well. Anyways, even if you don't remember, this recall test will help you in recalling it. So you see a question here, the pK values of aspartic acid, a naturally occurring amino acid, are shown to the right. Choose from the below the structure of major species present at pH 7.2. So if your pH of solution is 7.2, pK of each proton is given. Each H plus ka pK is given at a pH of 7.2. This amino acid will exist as what? This acid will exist in which structure? This is a very common question which is asked on this. So let me give you the poll for this. Yeah, here you go. PK, you are right. I think so. Sanjana, Atharv, you are right. Mohit, check it again. Mohit, you have done a blunder mistake. KV Chetan is right. So vote it quickly, guys. You have another 30 seconds for this. Meghna, check again. Meghna Samal, check again. Yes. Varsha, check again. Chalo, we'll end this question now. Pratiksha, after a lot of days. So we'll end this question now on a count of 3, 2, 1. So let's end this one now. Right. So most of you have voted for A. That's true. Sorry. So see, at a pH of 7.2, right? At a pH of 7.2, this proton would have ionized, obviously. This goes at a pH of 2. This proton will also ionize. It goes at 3.86. So this will exist as CO minus. This will also exist as CO minus. But this proton goes at 9, but your pH of solution is 7.2. So it will not ionize. It will exist as NH3 plus only. So it will exist as NH3 plus only. It will not lose NH. It will not lose H plus to form NH2. Correct? So only these two proton will be lost. Right? So if your pH of solution is greater than pK, then that proton will be ionized. Okay? So this is the correct answer. This is the correct answer. Right? So your answer here is A. I hope it is clear. Great. Yeah. Anyone having any doubt in this, please quickly ask. We'll move ahead with the topic. Right? Chalo. So let's move ahead to the electrophoresis. Down given name ascorbic acid is wrong. It is wrong. This is not ascorbic acid. It is aspartic acid. ठीक है रे, टाइपो है, छोड़ दो. Electrophoresis. So if you take electrophoresis, then electrophoresis you have studied it before also. Where have you studied about electrophoresis? Where have you studied about electrophoresis? Surface chemistry. What was the definition of electrophoresis in surface chemistry? What was the definition? It was the movement of oppositely charged colloidal particles towards oppositely charged electrode, right? That means if your colloidal particles are negatively charged, they will move towards positive electrode. And if your colloidal particles are positively charged, they'll move towards negative electrode. Correct? This was the definition. Now, if you consider electrophoresis, then we can use electrophoresis to separate the amino acids. How can we use it? So always remember, if your let us say, if I take two containers here, one may I'll take cathode, right? There is a cathode and there is an anode. So this is connected to positive terminal of the battery. This is connected to positive terminal of the battery. And this is connected to negative terminal of the battery. So this is positively charged. And this is negatively charged. You are kind of making an electrochemical cell. Okay? There is a solution here. There is a solution here. Right? Now, when you fill it, you can take a rod here, U-shaped tube, like a salt bridge. Right? And let us say in your salt bridge, you have kept a mixture of 3 amino acids, and those are lysine. Just 1 minute. Right. So the amino acids are lysine, followed by glycine, followed by aspartic acid. Right. You have 3 amino acids present here. And you have maintained a pH of the solution. Let us say you have maintained a pH of the solution as 6. You can say 6 or 7, whatever you want. Correct? You have been given isoelectric point of all amino acids. All of you know lysine is a basic amino acid, so its isoelectric point will be greater than 7. Glycine is almost neutral. Aspartic acid is acidic amino acid. We have calculated it. Its isoelectric point will be less than 7. So if you check this, Pi, isoelectric point of glycine, is approximately 6, and isoelectric point of aspartic acid is approximately 3 point something, and isoelectric point of lysine is should be 9 point something, 9.74. Correct? Now you have to decide who will go where. Lysine will go to which compartment, and let's say this is your anode and this is your cathode. Right? Now you have to decide which will go where. Right? Which will go where. So what we are saying here, that lysine will go to which compartment? Anode compartment or cathode compartment? That is one. You have to decide. Now think logically. Isoelectric point is, I told you one thing to remember. At isoelectric point, amino acid is having neutral charge. It exists as dipolar ion. Correct? And if pH is equals to isoelectric point, and if pH is greater than isoelectric point, then amino acid exists in anionic form. We have already seen this. Correct? And if pH of solution is less than isoelectric point, then amino acid exists in cationic form. We know this. Correct? So by that logic, glycine isoelectric point is 6, pH of solution is also 6. So it will exist in dipolar ion or neutral, zero charge, neutral. Dipolar ion or neutral. Right? And aspartic acid ka isoelectric point is less than pH of solution. Correct? So pH of a solution is greater than aspartic acid isoelectric point. Correct? So that means aspartic acid will exist as what? Anionic form. It will exist in anionic form. Isoelectric point is 3 and pH of the solution is 6. Yeah. Correct. And if your lysine ka isoelectric point is 9.74 and your pH of solution is 6, that means pH of a solution is less than isoelectric point. Right? pH of solution is less than isoelectric point. Then it will exist in which form? Cationic form. It will exist in cationic form. Correct? So if you consider this, then what you would say, who will go where? So lysine being cationic, it will go to negative compartment. That is, it will move to this side. whereas aspartic acid will move to this side and glycine will remain in its own position. Okay? If your pH of the solution was maintained at 7, right? You can change the pH of the solution here to 2, 3, 4, take a buffer of solution 2, take a buffer of pH 4 and see which amino acid will move where. So you'll get your lysine, which was cationic, positively charged, moving to the negative compartment, and aspartic acid, which was anionic, negatively charged, moving to the positive compartment. Glycine will remain on its own position. So this is how you can separate the amino acids, correct? So this is the separation of amino acid using aspartic acid. Yes, is that clear? Anyone having any doubt in this? Anyone having any doubt in this? Yes, guys. Anyone having any doubt in this concept of electrophoresis, please quickly ask. We'll move ahead. Chalo, great. So I see no doubts. That means we can move ahead. Right. So now we are left with structure of proteins. Okay. So bio people already know this. In general, we have classified the proteins into 4 structures. Right. All of them are very important. From your CET point of view, also it is very important. Boards may you may not get a question on it. JEE NEET may be hardly you'll get a question on it. NEET may maybe, JEE may no, hardly. JEE ka favorite topic is this sequence of amino acid, right? So primary structure of amino protein, secondary structure of protein, tertiary structure of protein, quaternary structure of protein. We'll discuss all these 4 structures of protein in detail. Now, by seeing this, biology students will be like, Hana? Correct? This is something we know. Great. Chalo. So let's start with primary structure of protein. So what is primary structure of protein? Primary structure of protein refers to sequence of amino acid present in polypeptide chain. Correct? For example, if you take, let us say you start with glycine. After glycine, you attach aspartic acid, right? Then you attach, let's say, leucine. Then you attach lysine, right? So the order in which you are assigning the amino acid to make a long polypeptide chain is known as primary structure of protein. So if you write these 4 amino acids like this, you get a tetrapeptide. So this tetrapeptide, and if you rearrange them and write lysine, leucine, aspartic acid, and glycine, this tetrapeptide and this tetrapeptide are entirely different. Their properties will be entirely different. Even if you change the sequence of one amino acid in a peptide chain, you get a different protein together, right? In a long polypeptide chain, even if you change the position of one amino acid, you get a totally different polypeptide chain. And that can even cause many diseases. If I remember correct, sickle cell anemia, right? Bio students must be knowing it. So in sickle cell anemia, if you replace one of the amino acid, right? If you replace one of the amino acid, you get this disease called sickle cell anemia. I don't remember which amino acid it is, but it is like this. If you replace one of the amino acid, let's say glycine, if you replace by valine, right? Some amino acid in the polypeptide chain, if you replace glycine by valine, then you get a disease called sickle cell anemia. Okay. So this is generally very important. So if you change even a small sequence of amino acid, you'll get a totally different protein. So let's say this protein was helpful in digestion of your food, or let's say this protein was helpful in some X work, anything it can be. Let's say it was responsible for digestion of your food. You change one amino acid in its sequence, then its activity may be lost. It may not even digest food. So that is the importance of this sequence. So the sequence is very, 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 very important, right? So the order in which amino acids are arranged is known as primary structure of protein, correct? Now, we have already discussed it before. Amino acids are covalently linked by peptide bond, obviously. Between 2 amino acids, glycine, there is a peptide bond, correct? Then aspartic acid, CONH bond is there. So two amino acids are linked together by which bond? Peptide bond. Peptide bond क्या होता है? CONH bond. C double bond ONH is known as peptide bond, correct? And then each component of amino acid in a polypeptide chain is called residue or moiety, correct? So let's say there are 4 amino acids. So we'll say there are 4 residues, right? 4 moieties in this tetrapeptide chain. Each amino acid is referred as residue. By convention, primary structure of protein starts from amino acid N-terminal, right? And ends at C-terminal. I have already told you the leftmost amino acid is known as N-terminal amino acid because its NH2 group will be free. So it is known as N-terminal amino acid. And right side will be known as C-terminal amino acid because its COH group will be free, correct? So this is generally what happens. So this is your primary structure of protein. There is nothing else you need to study. I think this is more than enough, right? Anybody having any doubt in this? So you can see it's a long polypeptide chain. Some amino acid X, Y, Z, aspartic, leucine, glycine, X, any amino acid it can be. So all are linked to each other by a peptide bond. So many amino acids are there. See, they are linked to each other by amino acid. Yeah, anyone having any doubt in this? Quickly respond, 10-second window. Anyone having any doubt on this? Please quickly respond, 10-second window. Let's move ahead. Chalo. Now we come to the secondary structure of protein. So before I go to the types of secondary structure of protein, let me tell you what is secondary structure of protein and explain you a bit about it. Folding of a long polypeptide chain. Folding of long polypeptide chain results in secondary structure of amino acid. ठीक है? Now I'll give you an example how it happens. देखो ध्यान से. So if I take, let us say, right? So if I take a sequence of amino acid, let us say you start with a long polypeptide chain. Let us say you have NH2. You take CHR dash, or you can take H here, glycine, let us say. And then you have C double bond O NH, right? And then you take another amino acid, CH, CH3, C double bond O NH, right? Then you take another amino acid, CH, isopropyl group, C double bond O NH, right? Then you take CH and take COH here and take CH2OH here. Let us say this is your long polypeptide chain. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 amino acids. So tetrapeptide. So now what happens is this amino acid chain will not lie linearly. It will not be straight. What happens is the CO of this will try to form, right, after 3.6 amino acids. So this CO will try to form a hydrogen bond with NH. Okay? So it should be even longer chain. We have taken this much chain only because we have only this much screen. Okay? So now what happens is this CO will try to form a hydrogen bond with NH. Right? You can draw this NH here. So when this H of nitrogen and CO tries to form a hydrogen bond, they should come close to each other. They should come close to each other. So when they want to come close to each other, what will happen? This chain will bend. This chain will bend. Correct? Yes? Is that clear? Yes, everyone. Is that clear? All right. So now what will happen? This chain which was linear now, due to the bending of this amino acid, due to this hydrogen bonding, this amino acid chain, which was linear, now will start coiling up because this CO is forming a hydrogen bond with NH. Right? So what will happen? The chain will not be linear. There will be turns in it. There will be turns in it. Correct? So why exactly nahi? After 3.6 amino acids, you will have this hydrogen bonding. Okay? Why exactly that? Because of the space. Matlab, these groups, right? These groups lying here. When you coil them, see, if you write two groups like this, the R1 and R2 are close. But when you coil them, they go far away. If it was like this, R1 and R2 are close. But when you coil it, they go far away from each other. That's also the reason alkyl groups move away. Steric hindrance decreases. That's why the coiling happens. So if you keep it straight, R1, R2. When you coil it, R1 up, R2 down. So they move exactly away. So due to avoid that steric hindrance in the chain also, this coiling happens. Now, rather than existing like straight, it will start coiling up. Now, this folding of the chain is known as secondary structure of amino acid. Now, secondary structure of amino acid is of two types. Now, secondary structure of amino acid is of two types. Right? So one of them, which we have already discussed, this type of known as alpha helix, right? So this is known as alpha helix, right? So this is your one of the type of structure of your amino acid. So you can see here, the CO of this amino acid is forming a hydrogen bond with the NH of this, correct? So CO, C double bond O is forming a hydrogen bond with NH, correct? Yes. And it is known as alpha helix, right? It is known as alpha helix. Now, few things which are very important, data basically. Now, all of you know it is coiled, right? All of you know it is coiled. All of you know it is coiled. Now, there are few things which you need to understand. It has a spiral structure. Okay? Tightly packed coiled polypeptide backbone core. It is tightly coiled. You can say that, right? Then stabilized side chain extended outwards. I have already told you. When the coiling occurs, the alkyl groups move away. The alkyl group which was straight in linear chain, after coiling, they move away, right? Stabilized by hydrogen bond between carbonyl and amino NH or hydrogen of NH. So between CO and NH, there is a hydrogen bonding. This also we know. Now, amino acids per turn is 3.6, right? That means if you consider this one turn, right? In one turn of amino acid, right? In one turn, how many amino acid you get? 3.6, right? So you can see here, one amino acid, two amino acid, three amino acid, and this is half amino acid. So this is your one turn, right? So here you'll get 3 amino acid. Now 3.6 amino acid. I have already told Athar, 1, 2, 3, and this fourth is not complete. 1, 2, 3. This fourth is not completely lying here. CO of this is lying in this turn, right? So your turn finishes here, correct? So total there are 3.6 amino acid, and each amino acid covers a distance of 1.5 angstrom, if I'm not wrong. Each amino acid travels a distance of 1.5 angstrom. Okay? Each amino acids covers a distance of 1.5 angstrom. Then 3.6 amino acid will cover how much? 3.6 amino acid will cover 3.6 into 1.5. Correct? 3.6 into 1.5. That gives you a value of how much? That gives you a value of double is 7.2 plus minus 1.8. 5.4 exactly. You'll get 5.4 angstrom. So this distance traveled in one turn from here to here is known as pitch of alpha helix. So total distance traveled by these 3.6 amino acids in one turn is known as pitch of amino acid. Pitch of alpha helix. How much is the pitch? 5.4 angstrom, right? So this is the alpha helix which you need to know. You can get a simple numerical on it. What will be the length of alpha helix having 78 amino acids? So that kind of numerical you can expect in this. So alpha helical segments are found in many globular proteins like myoglobin, troponin, etc. So proteins are further classified into two types, globular and fibrous protein. Correct? So globular proteins, में lot of globular proteins have these alpha helix. ठीक है? So I hope it is clear. Anyone having any doubt in this, please ask. I'll put a question here after this. Anyone having any doubt in this, please quickly ask. Yeah, no doubts. Chalo, then let's do a simple sa question on it. What will be the length of alpha helix having 72 amino acids? 72 amino acids, right? So you can solve this and tell me what answers you are getting. Okay? So you can solve this and tell me what answers you are getting. So I'll give you the options. 54 angstrom, B 108 angstrom, C 218 angstrom, D 92 angstrom. Okay? So I think all of you have got it. Most of you have got it. That's the right word to say. So those who have got it can respond the poll quickly without much delay. So I'm hoping here the alpha helix is clear. So I think most of you are right here. I'll end it in next 10 seconds. So if you have got the answer, please. What is that ambulance, Ganesh? Got it. Chalo, let's end it then. Let's end it on a count of 3, 2, 1. That's very easy now. So 3.6 amino acids cover a length of 5.4 angstrom. So one amino acid cover a length of 5.4 by 3.6 angstrom. 72 amino acids will cover a length of 5.4 by 3.6 into 72. This gives you a value of 108 angstrom. Okay? So these kind of questions you can expect, chota easy questions on alpha helix. Right? So I hope it is clear. Yeah. Is that clear, everyone? Chalo, let's move ahead then to our next type of secondary structure of protein, that is known as beta sheet structure. So now what I said you here was कि this due to hydrogen bonding, intramolecular hydrogen bonding, we'll say this is intramolecular hydrogen bonding. So due to this hydrogen bonding, it started coiling up. Okay. There is another possibility that if your side chains are not bulky, they can lie close to each other. Then this long polypeptide chain take another long polypeptide chain. Then between two long polypeptide chain, CO of this, C double bond O of this forms a hydrogen bond with NH of this, right? And NH of this forms a hydrogen bond with CO of this. So between two chain, hydrogen bonding will start happening. So two chains will run like this. Many chains will run like this. Between them, there is a hydrogen bond, hydrogen bond, hydrogen bond, hydrogen bond. So CO of this forms a hydrogen bond with NH. CO of this forms a hydrogen bond with NH. So lot of chains will be held parallel to each other. When that happens, you get a structure called beta pleated structure, right? It is due to interlayer hydrogen bonding, you can say interchain hydrogen bonding, right? So that is our next structure, that is beta pleated structure, right? So see here, this is one chain of, this is one long polypeptide chain, this is another long polypeptide chain, right? Now in this, if CO of this forms a hydrogen bond with NH of this, CO of this forms a hydrogen bond with NH of this can form hydrogen bond with NH of this can form with hydrogen bond with NH of this. Now these two layers can be these two chains can be a chain of same peptide chain, or it can be different also. So this is one polypeptide chain, another polypeptide chain, another polypeptide chain. So they will start forming hydrogen bond. CO of this chain, NH of this will form a hydrogen bond with CO of this, and so on, right? So you'll get lot of polypeptide chain में hydrogen bonding. So now this running of polypeptide chain can be parallel or anti-parallel, right? For example, if the first chain is running from N-terminal amino acid to C-terminal amino acid, second chain is also running from N-terminal amino acid to C-terminal amino acid, then you will say it is a parallel chain. But if one chain is running from N-terminal amino acid to C-terminal amino acid, and the other chain is running from C-terminal amino acid to N-terminal amino acid, then you say it is a anti-parallel chains. Correct? Matlab, if you start with this polypeptide chain, iska NH2 group is free, CO, NH, and long chain, right? And COH is free here. The second chain can be COH is free here, right? NH and long chain, and NH2 is here. Now these two chains are anti-parallel. NH2, COH, COH, NH2, anti-parallel to each other. There is a hydrogen bonding between these two chains, right? So such kind of, both kind of beta pleated structure exist, where the two chains are running parallel to each other, where two chains are running anti-parallel to each other, right? So this is formed when two or more polypeptide chains line up side by side. They line up side by side and form a hydrogen bond, correct? Individual polypeptide chain beta strand is known as beta strand. Each beta strand is fully extended. So this is one beta strand, another beta strand. CO of this forms a hydrogen bond with NH of this. Then NH of this forms a hydrogen bond with CO of this, and so on. Correct? They are stabilized by hydrogen bond between NH and carbonyl groups of adjacent chains. Right? So this results in your beta pleated structure of secondary structure of proteins. Anybody having any doubt in beta pleated structure, please ask. Anybody having any doubt in beta pleated structure, please ask. So we have finished primary structure of protein, secondary structure of protein, two types of secondary structure of protein, alpha helix and beta pleated. कोई डाउट? देखो बायो वालों को डाउट नहीं आएगा, नॉन बायो स्टूडेंट्स को कोई डाउट है तो पूछ लो. नॉन बायो बच्चों को कुछ डाउट है तो पूछ लो. बायो वाले will be anyways having a big smile on their face, है ना? Yes, guys. No doubts. I don't see any doubt on the screen. Maybe you are typing slow, or really you don't have any doubt. Chalo, let's move ahead then. I think we have finished it. So now we can move towards tertiary structure. Actually, there are three types. In your NCERT, there are two only. So we'll discuss only the two types which are mentioned in NCERT. Okay? Now let's move ahead to the tertiary structure of protein. So up tak story is long chain of amino acid, sequence of amino acid, primary structure of protein. When this long chain of amino acid starts coiling up due to hydrogen bonding, then you can get a coil called alpha helix, or two chains can form hydrogen bonding among themselves. You get beta pleated secondary structure of protein. Now, what is the other possibility? If your secondary structure further folds, we said long polypeptide chain, when it folds, gives you secondary structure. If your secondary structure further folds, then you get a tertiary structure, right? So further folding of secondary structure gives tertiary structure, right? So further folding of secondary structure gives tertiary structure of protein. Okay, this is very important. So now see what happens. Dekho, if you see, there is one beta pleated sheet, another beta pleated sheet, one alpha helix. The way in which you arrange your secondary structure, the way in which your secondary structure folds or takes space में orientation is known as your tertiary structure. Tertiary structure is a three-dimensional conformation of a polypeptide. So now you are very much clear that there is a peptide. It can either exist as alpha helix or it can exist as beta pleated. Correct? Now in space, conformation all of you know, right? Chair form, boat form. So in space, how are these alpha helix and beta pleated arranged? For example, alpha helix is like this, beta pleated is like this, or beta pleated is like this, alpha helix is connected like this. So what is the orientation of alpha helix and beta pleated in a protein, or what is the conformation of alpha helix and beta pleated in a protein gives you a tertiary structure? Or you can say further rearrangement or further arrangement of secondary structure gives a tertiary structure, right? Now, what kind of forces stabilize it? Like between beta pleated and alpha helix, what kind of forces will exist? Common features of protein tertiary structure reveal much about biological functions of the proteins and evolutionary origins. You can get these kind of information from the structure of protein. Now, the function of a protein depends upon the tertiary structure. It is disrupted if it loses its activity. So if the tertiary structure is lost, protein will lose its activity. Now, this structure is stabilized by hydrogen bonding. Of course, it is stabilized by hydrogen bonding. It is stabilized by disulfide linkages. And electrostatic attractions. So these are the forces which stabilize your tertiary structure. And you can say van der Waals forces are the forces which exist everywhere. Correct? So van der Waals forces are the forces which exist everywhere. So remember, these are the forces which stabilize your tertiary structure. Anybody having any doubt in this, please quickly respond. Anybody having any doubt in tertiary structure, please quickly respond. We are going to move towards quaternary structure. Right. And remember, each tertiary structure is represented as subunit. Each tertiary structure will be named as subunit. हर tertiary structure को हम एक subunit का नाम दे देते हैं. This is one subunit. Correct? Great. Chalo, let's move ahead to the quaternary structure. Now, I told you each tertiary structure is named as subunit. So now let us assume this is your one subunit. Alpha helix bhi hai, beta pleated bhi hai. Another subunit. Another subunit. Another subunit. So how are these subunits are arranged with respect to each other gives rise to a quaternary structure. So I told you there is a long polypeptide chain. When it folds, you get secondary structure. Then these secondary structure, how they are arranged with respect to each other gives you a tertiary structure. Each tertiary structure is known as subunit. Now one subunit, second subunit, third subunit, fourth subunit. How are these four subunits arranged with respect to each other gives rise to a quaternary structure. So quaternary structure describes the joining of two or more polypeptide subunits. So what you will consider as your subunits? Your subunits are tertiary structures. You consider each tertiary structure as subunits, correct? Right. Now, these subunits, the subunits each have their own tertiary structure and are held together by forces involved in tertiary structure. We have already discussed it. Each tertiary structure act as subunits, and which forces are involved, we have discussed that. For example, hemoglobin is a globular protein that consists of 4 subunits, right? Of different types, alpha subunits and beta subunits. Each subunit contains a heme group for oxygen binding. So hemoglobin contains heme protein, which binds oxygen, and heme protein contains 4 types of subunits, right? Alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1, beta 2. Okay? So around each iron, you'll see alpha chain, beta chain, alpha chain. So this is one subunit, another subunit, another subunit, another subunit. So you can say this is one tertiary structure, this is another tertiary structure, this is another tertiary structure, this is another tertiary structure. So how are these 4 subunits are arranged with respect to each other? This gives you a quaternary structure. Quaternary structure. Right? Yes. So this is what it means. Anyone having any doubt in this quaternary structure, you can ask. When I was studying these structures for the first time, I didn't get any idea about it. Kya? Like, it is just like Maggi noodles. Keep rotating it. It is just like Maggi noodles. Keep rotating it. Correct? So that's how it means. Heme group means heme is a protein. Hemoglobin mein heme protein is there. Usme iron is present in the center. And then you have a porphyrin rings. वो हीम प्रोटीन का पूरा स्ट्रक्चर है अपना, ठीक है? So that is known as porphyrin ring. Correct. Heme is a hemoglobin में globin is your protein and iron को you can say कि iron is acting as a binder, ठीक है? Heme group में, right? So heme क्या है? तुम्हारा पूरा ऐसा chain है. What do I say? Heme is one. How do I represent it? Yeah, nitrogen porphyrin rings. So heme is पूरा structure here, ठीक है? So heme का बहुत बड़ा structure होता है, proper उसका heme का structure है, right? We'll discuss it most likely in next chapter. I think so. Yes, next chapter. Hemocyanin and all. Next chapter में आएगा, right? You can tell it as prosthetic group. You can, since iron is there, you can say it as a prosthetic group. But since there is an organic part also, you can say it is a coenzyme also, right? But you can say prosthetic group. ठीक है? चलो, let's move ahead. Now we are left with the last topic of this protein part, which is called denaturation of protein. तो denaturation of protein क्या होता है? Protein का एक particular structure है, mainly tertiary structure है, जिसकी वजह से उसका function है. So tertiary structure is responsible for the function of the protein. If your protein is heated, if your protein is subject, structure is very sensitive to heat, pH, etc., etc. So if you heat your protein, right, and if you change the pH of your protein, then in that case, the structure of protein may get destroyed, and your protein may lose biological activity. This process of loss of biological activity of a protein, when it is subjected to change in conditions like heat, change in pH, right, etc., is known as denaturation of protein. So denaturation is a process in which a protein loses its native shape, it loses its structure, right, due to disruption of weak chemical bonds and interactions, right, and become biological inactive. So it is a process in which a protein loses its biological activity due to change in conditions like temperature, pH. Why it loses activity? Because it breaks all its weak bonds, right? Weak bonds like hydrogen bond, disulfide linkages, van der Waals forces, these bond gets broken, right? In case of protein, a loss of 3-dimensional structure sufficient to cause loss of function. That means a loss of tertiary structure. We are talking about tertiary structure. If your tertiary structure is gone, biological activity is gone, right? So loss of secondary, tertiary and quaternary structure of proteins results in denaturation of protein. Change in physical conditions, like I have told you, physical and chemical conditions results in denaturation of protein. Physical condition like mechanical stress, or chemical condition like change in pH. Definition I have already told you. This is your, let's say, protein. If you zoom it out, this is your protein. If you denaturate it, you can see all the weak forces are broken and its shape is gone. It has become very linear now, almost. So since it has become a single polypeptide chain, it has lost its all the structures of protein. Secondary and tertiary structures are destroyed in denaturation. The reverse process is known as renaturation. The reverse process is known as renaturation, where denaturated protein becomes native protein. Correct? So this process is known as denaturation. It can come for 1 mark in your board exam. Correct? Yeah. Anyone having any doubt in any of these structures of protein or denaturation protein, you can ask. We'll move to the question part now. And the question part are going to be little more tricky. So if you have any doubt in this, please quickly ask. Yes. Anyone having any doubt? No doubts? Chalo, let's move ahead then. I think we are good to go. तो अभी थोड़े जो question we are going to solve, उसके लिए you need mental ability. थोड़ा सा. ठीक है? थोड़ा सा you need to think now. So there comes your first question. A very, very critical question. पहली बात तो देख के समझ में ही नहीं आएगा क्या चल रहा है. थोड़ा read it carefully. ठीक है? थोड़ा carefully read करोगे तो हो जाएगा. ठीक है? Just keep a segment in your mind. Keep peptide chain. There is no fifth one, Sanat. During a peptide chain, formation of bond is COH plus NH2. उसको ध्यान रखोगे तो ये क्वेश्चन हो जाएगा. So let me give you the poll for this. You can start solving this. Yeah. You keep solving. I'll have some water meanwhile. Yes. So anybody has got the answer to this? First of all, it's not an easy question. Let me tell you. Whoever has got the answer till now has got it wrong. तो ये देख के बायो वाले खुश नहीं होंगे. बायो वाले will be like, this is not bio. Ankita, I think you're right. There are a lot of you are right. Mohit, Ankita, KV, Chetan, Vijeta, Ashrit. A lot of you are right. Dhanush. I don't know whether you guys are guessing or solving, but you guys are right. Chalo, great. So I'll give you another, how much? Another 10 seconds maybe. Give it a try. Abhishek H. No beta, it's not correct. छोटा सा कैलकुलेशन है, जस्ट अ छोटा सा कैलकुलेशन. You'll get it right. Anisha, you're right. Of course, you're right. Chirag Naik is right. Gangadhar, no beta, it's not right. Pratibha Hermit is right. Vinayak Hermit is right. Shenik is right. Pritesh now is right. Chetna, no. Chalo, let's end it and discuss. So let's end it. No, Viresh, you're right. So let's end it on a count of 3, 2, 1. No PK. Dekho, JEE ki, this is one thing which I generally like about IIT JEE. They don't ask very tough question. They ask a tricky question. So this question is not lengthy. It is not tough. It is just tricky, right? It is just tricky. So see what is happening here. So there is a decapeptide. First, you understand that decapeptide. So this on hydrolysis will give you how many amino acid? It will give you 10 amino acid. Correct? And in this 10 amino acid, there are some glycines. He's asking how many glycines are there. He's saying the glycines are 47% mass of the total amino acids. If the total amino acid ka mass is 100 gram, then 47 gram is glycine ka mass. Okay? Now, molar mass of decapeptide is given. How much? 796. So 796. But 47% is not the 47% of 796. 47% glycine is an amino acid. So it 47% will be the 47% of total amino acids. Correct? So that means what? That means what? That means a decapeptide has COOH plus NH2 को combine करके you form a peptide bond. So while forming a peptide bond, you remove water molecule. Correct? So this decapeptide has 796 mass. Then these 10 amino acids and decapeptide, what is the difference? So to form a decapeptide, you have removed 9 water molecules because 9 peptide bonds are there. So you need to, for getting the mass of 10 amino acid, it will be 796 plus water molecule which you have removed. That will be present in amino acids. How much? 796 plus 9 into 18. This is the total mass of amino acids. Right? This is the total mass of amino acids. So 18 into 9 is 162. So 162. So how much is the total? 796 plus 162. How much you'll get? 8, 15, 958 gram. So 958 gram is the total mass of amino acid. So is 958 gram ka 47% is your glycine. Correct? So what is the mass of glycine? Mass of glycine is 47%, 47 by 100 of 958 gram. So this is 0.47 into 958. How much is this? Check and tell me the calculation value. 0.47. So for the first time, I see a lot of you are responsive. So this will come out to be 450 gram. So matlab, out of this 958 gram, 450 gram jo mass hai, that is a mass of glycine. But he's asking the moles of amino acid. So moles of amino acid is very easy. Number of moles is weight by molar mass. Weight of glycine present in the polypeptide is 450 gram. And 450 gram divided by molar mass of glycine is given 75. So if you simplify this, you'll get 6. I think so. Yeah, 150, 300. Yeah, you'll get 6. So that means how many units are present? 6 units are present. So can we say this question is very difficult? Can we say this question is very difficult? No, this question is not difficult. It's just this question is tricky. The moment you miss this 9 water molecules, your game is gone. If you take only 796 gram here, then you'll get 4.5 units. Okay? So every protein except one will gain a water. Every amino acid, yes. Because 10 amino acid mein 9 peptide bond will be there. To form 9 peptide bond, you need to remove 9 water molecule. Vijay. Yeah, anyone having any doubt in this? And it's not lengthy also, right, for you. So that's the beauty about JEE. They don't ask tough questions, they ask tricky questions. और particularly JEE इस topic से protein से बहुत tricky questions पूछता है, बहुत tricky. Like purely you have to apply logic. Your mental ability should be very good. ठीक है? Poll result तो छोड़ दो यार. Poll result में तो it's not reliable. Yeah, this is your this thing. Chalo. So let's move ahead. So this is our another question which you would like to do, right? pH of the solution is 7. Then if your pH is 7, then R1, this is a peptide chain. R1 is given, R2 is given. When your R1 is this, R2 is this, right? So the question is subunits R1 and R2 are given for 9 peptide as listed in table. How many of these peptides are positively charged? Correct? तो अगर मैं R1H लेता हूं, R2H लेता हूं, तो I'll get one peptide. R1H लेता हूं, R2CH3 लेता हूं, तो I'll get another peptide. Correct? So such combinations of R1 and R2 are given. There are total 9 peptides which have been formed. You have to check which case में you'll get positively charged peptide. ठीक है? So it is already having plus and minus. Now you need to check when you'll get positively charged peptide. मतलब इन दोनों का चार्ज मिला के at a pH of 7 should be +1, I think. Yeah. So then +1 -1 0, +1 +1 +2, right? So in which all these cases you have to check the charge of R1 and R2, right? So this is basically तुम्हें पता लग जाएगा isoleucine ये lysine है, this is aspargine, so you can refer the old table to solve this. चलो meanwhile let me give you the poll. It's not tough, that's all I can say. You have to just check इनका ये कितने pH पे ionize होंगे. You know this value. Lysine वाला कितने pH पे जाएगा? अच्छा, I'll show you that table. You can take a screenshot. It will help you. I'll show you that table. You can take a screenshot. It will help you. Yeah. You can take the screenshot here. It will help you. ठीक है? चलो. So let's move ahead and come back to the question. तो तुम्हें पता लग जाएगा कि ये कितने pH पे जाता है, ये कितने pH पे जाता है and all. You can apply the logic, Pritesh. Yeah. Yes, PK and Chetan, you guys are right. Yes. Prajwal, check again. नहीं नहीं प्रीतेश, PH7 है बेटा, PH7 पे देखो, यू शुड नो, PH7 पे देखो. चलो, so we'll discuss this in next 10 seconds. So we are running out of time. We'll discuss it in next 10 seconds. You're right, Khushi. Chalo, let's end it on a count of 3, 2, 1. Let's end it now. Why I showed you the table is so that you can check lysine wala NH2 gets ionized at a pH of 9 point something. This will get ionized pH of 9 to 10 के बीच में. CONH2 does not get ionized. It comes in neutral. Amide group does not get ionized. It comes in neutral amino acid. Okay. And so this is again, now first thing before you solve, you should understand if one of the side chain is +1, other is 0, then total charge will be +1, -1, 0, +1. मतलब एक भी अगर पॉजिटिवली चार्ज हो गया, राइट, एंड दूसरा 0 हो गया, तो यू कैन गेट, राइट, और +2 -1 पे यू कैन गेट total positive charge, right? So total positive charge will be obtained if you get +1, 0 or +2, -1. Now see, H, both are neutral. Not possible. So both are neutral. Side chain is non-polar. H, neutral. CH2COH, this proton goes at aspartic acid ka, this goes around 3.8. So if pH is 7, then this will be already ionized because it ionizes at 3.8. So 7 पे तो definitely ionize हो गया होगा. So this will be existing as CH2COO minus and H will exist as it is. So total charge कितना आ जाएगा? +1, -1, -1, -2, +1, -1. So here तो it is negatively charged, -1. ठीक है? Here charges are 0. Now check this one. Amide is neutral. Lysine ionizes at 9 to 10. So lysine in pH 7, right? So and it will exist as NH3 plus. It will exist as NH3 plus because iska NH3 plus will be lost at 9 to 10 proton. It will be lost at 9 to 10 proton. Correct? So it will exist as +1 and it will exist as neutral. So +1, 0. +1, -1, 0. +1 is left. So it will be positively charged. Next one, amide, both neutral. So if both are neutral, it will be neutral. This will be positively charged. Lysine, this will also be positively charged. Correct? So +1, +1. Neutral, +1, +1, +2 charge. Overall charge is +2. Now check this one. Aspartic acid, this will be existing as CH2CO minus. We have already discussed. So this will be negatively charged. Amide, 0. So -1, 0. -1, -1, -2, +1, -1. So it will exist as -1. Now check. CH2OH is again non-ionizable. It will exist as it is 0. This will exist as +1. So 0, +1. +1, -1, 0, +1 is left. So charge will be +1. Then this again lysine is positively charged and 0. So +1, 0. Again it is positively charged. So you can check how many are positively charged. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have given you their charge values also. Correct answer is B. Correct answer is B. Is that clear, everyone? Is that clear, everyone? मैंने तुम्हें सबका चार्ज निकाल के दिखा दिया. सबका चार्ज निकाल के दिखा दिया. I have shown you every charge. चलो, let's log into your Kahoot then. फिर तो पीएच पता होना चाहिए. तो मैंने तुम्हें टेबल क्या झक मारने के लिए दिखाया था प्रीतिश? टेबल क्या झक मारने पता नहीं भी होगा तो भी you should know ना मैन. It is acidic एसिडिक वाला कितने पे जाएगा? लेस देन 7 पे। बेसिक है, बेसिक वाला कितने पे जाएगा? मोर देन 7 पे। pH 7 दिया हुआ है, दैट इज कॉमन सेंस प्रितेश। CH2COH will be ionized at less than 7 and NH2 will be ionized at greater than 7. That itself is sufficient. In this question you don't need the pH value, Pritesh. In this question you don't need pH value, क्योंकि pH 7 दिया हुआ है, तो CH2COH लेस देन एसिडिक है ना, तो लेस देन 7 पे आयनाइज होगा, एंड बेसिक मोर देन 7 पे। चलो, let me give you the game pin and we'll finish the Kahoot. Today's Kahoot is one of the very, very popular leaders. Who can it be? One of the popular leaders. So your game pin is 9933 746. 9933 746. 9933 746 is your game pin. 9933 746 is your game pin. 9933 746 is your game pin. Yeah. So there is your screen. So I think I have started getting people. So let's quickly log in and finish it off. Chalo, let's end it on account of, let's start, sorry. So I think we are starting here, guys. I hope everybody is logged in. Anybody else who is waiting out there to log in? Anybody else who is waiting out there to log in? Gaurav Thakur, have you logged in? Gaurav Thakur, have you logged in? Chalo, let's move ahead then. Trying. I would suggest you, rather than IPL, today more interesting will be Bihar election result. Go and watch. Go and watch Bihar election results. They'll be very interesting tonight. Yeah. Gaurav, in? Yes, Gaurav, in? Yeah. Chalo, we are starting now. Yeah. You just see the trail, Abhishek. You will enjoy. There's a good contest tonight. So it's on not international leader as you guys suggested. It's on your own Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. So let's see, Narendra Modi was born in which area? He was born in. Narendra Modi was born in, obviously, Gujarat. So there are 3-4 places in Gujarat. Where was he born? Narendra Modi was born in where? In which location? And yes, he was born in Mehsana, Gujarat. Mehsana is a district in Gujarat. Now the next coming elections questions are current affairs. Basavraj, something with swords, Jira, Suaske, Vismay is in top 5. Let's move ahead. How much financial assistance to Odisha was announced by PM Narendra Modi in May 2019? Right? During the cyclones. So 2019 May, financial assistance was announced by Narendra Modi. How much financial assistance it was announced? Even if you don't know the answer, you can answer it. That's what I would say. Yes, it was 1,000 crores. It is the most symmetrical number. If I was attempting the quiz, I would have chosen that. Yeah. So Jira, Vismay, Anusha, somebody laughing is in top 5. Let's move ahead. Narendra Modi served CM of Gujarat from which year to which year? ये COVID-19 का इमेज डाल दिया है मैंने, ऑल्दो नहीं डालना चाहिए था, बट ठीक है. He served the CM of Gujarat from which year to which year? What was his term as CM in Gujarat? अमिताभ बच्चन says, right? कुछ दिन तो गुजरात हो गुजारो गुजरात में. Yes, I guess you guys don't know. It was 3 term, right? It was 3 term from 2001 to 2005, 2005 to 2010, 2011 to 2015. It was supposed to be, but 2014 Lok Sabha elections came and he was nominated as Prime Minister, so he did not continue from 2014 to 15. So it cannot be 2001 to 2015. It was 2001 to 2014, logically. Yeah. So it is somebody laughing on top, Shreya Kotagi on second, Basavaraj on third, Jira and Vismay in top 5. Let's see the next one. Yes, it is which books are written by Narendra Modi. You guys should know Narendra Modi is a good writer also. He has written a lot of poems also in Gujarati. So which books are written by him? Yes. And your answer is AOTA is all of the above. When you don't know anything, you choose for more than one option and all of the above. So all of the above were written by Narendra Modi. Chalo, let's see the next one. Basavaraj, Jira, Shreya Kotgi, Siddharth Narek in top 5. Last question of the day. Which scheme is not launched by Narendra Modi? Which of the following scheme is not launched by Narendra Modi? Which of the following schemes is not launched by Narendra Modi? Which of the following schemes is not launched by Narendra Modi? And your answer is I was knowing Mudra Yojana is launched by Narendra Modi only, man. Kya ho tum log? It is Balika Samriddhi Yojana. It was not launched by Narendra Modi. ठीक है? Make in India, Mudra Yojana is very, Garib Kalyan Yojana is very popular yojanas from Narendra Modi. You guys, current affairs are bad. So, Jira on third, 3 out of 5 correct. Knowledge खराब है तुम लोगों का. Basavaraj on second and all correct. This is Shreya Kotgi on top. Well played, Shreya. Siddharth and Narek is in top 5. That's all we have for today. Chalo, take care all of you. Study well. Acha, I'll upload the homework questions also, practice them. Take care all of you. Have a good day ahead and may God bless you all. Bye, Pritesh. What is that, Chandan? Chandan, what is that? I would back whom? Delhi ka batting is weak. That's the problem. I would back underdogs. Delhi. It's always fun to back underdogs. Delhi. ठीक है? चलो. Let's see who wins today. Last question is easy, no? Ankita. कुछ नहीं. Just a minute. So Ankita, in the last nahi, it's not like that. Underdogs, that's why. So Ankita, in the last question, if you see, just a minute. Okay, 1 minute, Ankita. Yes, Ankita, see, these are non-polar groups. So they will exist as 0, 0 charge. So 0, 0. CH2COH ionizes at 3.8. So at a pH of 7, definitely it would have been ionized. So it will exist as -1 and H0. So -1, 0. Total charge is how much? Arey yaar. Sorry. So -1, 0. Total charge is how much? -1, -1, -2, +1, -1. So you'll get a negatively charged. Then CONH2 is a neutral. Neutral means it does not ionize. No acidic proton. This is NH2. This will exist as NH3 plus. We know side chain of lysine ionizes around 9 point something, 9 to 10. And the pH is 7. So at 7 pH, it will not ionize. It will exist as NH3 plus. So +1, 0. So 0 plus 1. +1, -1, 0. +1 is left. So it is positively charged. Now here both are amide. No charge. 0, 0. So 0. This is lysine +1. This is also lysine +1. So +1, +1, -1, +1, 0, +1, +1, +2 charge. Similarly, check CH2COH. CH2COH will exist as -1. CH2CONH2 0. So -1, 0, -1, -1, -2, +1, -1. CH2H again does not ionize. So again 0. CH2, CH2NH2 +1. So 0 +1, +1, -1, 0, +1. Lysine +1, methyl group does not ionize, 0. So +1, 0. Again +1, -1, 0, +1. So you'll get total 4 amino acids with positive charge. 1, 2, 3, 4 at a pH of 7. ठीक है? Is that clear, Ankita? If the question take last minute of the time and answer is it good, sir, in J. If the question take a last minute of the time and answer is good, is it good timing? I didn't get your question, Viresh. What you are trying to ask? Matlab, you are trying to ask we should solve these kind of questions in last minute or not? Are you asking that? No, you should not go for these type of questions in last minute. You'll not be able to apply that much brain, right? You should always look for the easiest question, factual based question in the last minute. ठीक है? This should be taken in the second round, middle round में, when you have time. ठीक है? चलो, let's end it, guys. Take care, all of you. Have a good day ahead. Study well. May God bless you all.